Hey, what's going on, guys? Today is day number 22 of this duplex new construction build. We're letting the concrete cure just a little bit longer. Tomorrow we should be getting the next shipment from Home Depot, from the lumber yard basically, and we should have plenty of material for these guys to go ahead and get started for all the framing to start going up. So this stuff is going to start going pretty quickly. We have to stop to get an inspection when it comes to the bracing, and when it comes to the shear wall, and when it comes to the windows, when the windows get put in. But I'll show you guys that step here in a little bit. Right now, none of this stuff is up. Right now, we're just getting the material. We have the guys scheduled for tomorrow. As soon as that material shows up, I'm going to go ahead and let those guys loose over there so they can start working. All right. So it looks like we have some 2x6s here. I can tell that they're just a little bit wider than these ones. And so you see how this one is about this wide, and then this one is about yay wide. So this is going to be a 2x6. It's going to be a 2x4. Hold on a second. So we have some material here. I want to point out a couple of things here. This green treated material is for the purposes of using on ground contact. And what that means is if you look here on the actual on the structure itself. So here's the slab, right? The 2x4 that goes here on that's touching the ground is supposed to be this green treated stuff right here. The reason why we use this green treated stuff here is because it is treated with some sort of chemicals, and the bugs, if the bugs are coming in, they're going to start trying to come into the house from the floor first, and then they're going to start climbing up the walls, right? Well, termites do not like this green treated chemical stuff. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is because it's a little bit resistant to moisture, more than the other stuff that's not. So you put that piece down, and then on the ones that go up, the vertical studs, those ones don't have to be treated. So that's the difference between those. Here we have some 2x6s. Here we have some 2x6s that are treated. Remember, we do the fire. We're going to be doing this firewall. That's going to be a 2x6 wall in the center, separating the two units. And we have to have the ground contact. The one that's going to be on the ground here has to be treated wood. And then, of course, we have some more 2x4s that are treated and 2x4s that are not treated. Then we have the 5/8 inch. So this is not your typical sheetrock. This sheetrock is just slightly thicker than the sheetrock that you have at your house on the walls right now, because this specific sheetrock has to be delivered during the framing phase. Okay, this is a big foot stomper for you guys. If you're taking notes, this is a very, very big deal, because the firewall gets put up right when these guys are framing. It has to be encased, it has to be covered on the inside, and that's a very key component to this. So this 5/8 inch fire rated sheetrock is very, very heavy. It comes in pieces of 2. Okay, the guys move it. This is a young man's sport right here. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is very, very heavy. And if you guys have ever moved sheetrock, man, it is brutal, brutal work. So anyway, give me 1 second. So we have this stuff come in, and basically it comes in on a forklift, right? But then from the forklift from the site here where the forklift dropped it off into where it's got to go, these guys got to hand carry this stuff, man, and it is very, very heavy. But a lot of these guys that are framers are usually good shape. They do this a lot. It's they're young, and they have a lot of resistance to doing this, endurance to be able to do this stuff. Okay, guys, so, I take a quick little video just in case there's some sort of theft or anything like that. We have to report it to the police, but we're going to trust in God that that's not going to be an issue. So here's the material. We have another large shipment that's coming tomorrow from Home Depot. And, the guys know that as soon as that stuff comes in, they called me this morning like at 5:45 or something like that. And they're like, hey, we got the delivery coming. Anybody going to be there? I kind of give them an idea of where it needed to be dropped off. And they said, okay, cool, no big deal. But Home Depot just does this all the time, right? They call you before they're going to deliver their stuff. Any company. It's just to make sure that, everything's still good. It's still a green light to go deliver it. So the guys are on standby basically for tomorrow morning to go ahead and get this process started. I want to show you something else real quickly. Okay, so we ordered some of this material here, and I just want to point out a couple of things. I'm going to give you this list of material order that you're going to have, but I just, I think it's important for you guys to understand. There's a couple of things here that you're going to see. So we have a pro account. So there's an account higher than a pro account that Home Depot, if you're going to be building with them, they're going to be providing you stuff. They're going to give you even more preferential treatment when it comes to the lumber. So that's one of the things that you're able to do. If you want to get started with it, I can send you my salesperson at the Home Depot, and he'll get you hooked up. And just you'll meet him, and the guy's great, and he'll just explain to you kind of what we're doing. But anyway, so I want to show you here a couple of items that are not your typical just lumber stuff that we need for the construction. Okay, so excuse me here, this Owens Corning Pro Pink Comfort Seal. So we have some 2x6 walls, which is going to be for the firewall, and we have some 2x4 walls. So on the exterior perimeter, you see this little pink roll of tape here? So that pink roll essentially goes along the perimeter. Okay, this little just that pink roll goes all around the perimeter, and what that stuff does, it's like a moisture barrier. And there's remember I said the firewall, which is the center wall that I'm drawing right here. That wall is a 2x6 wall, so you have to get wider, basically wider tape for that. Or it's not tape, it's just like a little foam roll. And that stuff is like a air and moisture barrier, and kind of like it just protects it. And that's one of the things that is not a standard thing that you don't typically know about, but that's where that goes, and I'll show you that stuff here in a bit. So once the construction actually occurs, I'm going to show you where that piece is, and then it'll make sense to you. And then of course, the 5/8 inch. This is not the sheetrock that you have on the walls at home right now. Okay, the sheetrock that you have at home on the walls is going to be a little bit thinner, and so this 5/8 inch sheetrock is thicker, and it's a specific Fire Code X wall for that purpose of using it in a firewall, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive. And again, we get a little bit of a discount because we are using the Home Depot Super Pro account. So I want to show you here this part. I think it's kind of important for you guys to understand. So let me show you this real quick. And I didn't understand this quite at first. So we have this 2x4. It's what it means that unbranded is like it's just like the Home Depot brand, whatever, right? It's a 2x4, but it's by 104 5/8 inch. The number 2 means the quality of the board. So number 1 board is going to be like super straight, really good quality material. It's going to be way more expensive. The number 2 is the standard stuff. Some places even have number 3 boards. They have a lot of knots in them. They're kind of warped. I don't know if you ever picked up a long 2x4 and it's kind of like, it's kind of like curved and just warped. They'll sell you that stuff too. But that's like a number 3 stuff. But the stuff that we're getting is all number 2. And then it says Southern Yellow Pine, or SYP, and it's a stud. So let's do some quick math here. 1 second. Okay, so if we take 104, 1 second. Okay, I had to do 5 divided by 8 first because it's like, it's not metric or whatever. But the thing is that if you divide 5/8 into 1 inch, is 0.625 of an inch. So it's 104. So we're going to add 104 inches. So it's a total of 104.625 inches. Okay, and we're going to divide that by 12. Just bear with me here. Look, this stud is actually, remember when I was telling you that our ceilings are going to be 9 foot? So you see here, you see right there, it says 9-foot ceiling. And then you have here, it says 9-foot ceiling, and there's other places on here that say 9-foot ceilings. You see right there, it says 9-foot ceilings. There's just different places. The whole thing is 9-foot ceilings. So why is it that our calculator, whenever we do the math on it, is 8.71875 feet? Okay, because all we did was take the 104.65 divided by 12 inches, right? So we know that. And I'm going to explain to you why these ones are done this way. Okay, so I found a place where I can explain that to you very, very easily here. And this is going to be this diagram. This is a cross-section diagram. So here's the slab, right? We did the footings and all this other stuff. And then we have the 2x4 or the base plate. Okay, so if this base plate is approximately 2 inches, air quotes, approximately 2 inches, and then we were to put on top of that a 9-foot board and not a 8.765 foot, then this ceiling height would technically be 9 foot plus this little bit here, which would be 9 foot and 2 inches, right? So now it's no longer a 9 foot ceiling. It's actually 9 feet and 2 inches, which would make it higher than 9 feet. So in construction, what's considered studs, STUDS, the studs are the ones that go on top of the 2x4s. And in order to in order to make the height correct, so it's exactly 9 feet from the flooring to the ceiling, they take out little bits here, little bits there, and then that way the ceiling height is exactly 9 feet. I didn't know that for a long time. I know that's kind of crazy. And unless someone explains that to you, you don't know. So when someone says, hey, we need some more 9-foot studs, they're not asking for studs or pieces of wood that are actually 9 foot. They're asking for the ones that are already pre-cut. And this is known throughout the industry, completely known throughout the industry. Everyone knows this stuff except for me at the very beginning when I first started doing the stuff. And, you know, I actually did get one time I bought a bunch of like, you know, correct length ones. And they're like, hey, man, these are not studs. I'm like, but you said, you know, 9 feet. And they're like, yeah, but the studs usually are shorter. Like you got these really long ones. I'm like, well, we got to keep moving on this project, man. Just cut off the edges. So I paid a little bit extra for them, but whatever. That's it's part of the learning process, I guess. That's called stupid tax in some places. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Tomorrow we're going to be doing some more stuff, and I will talk to you then.